This kid would fight with his sister every day about who got to use the TV remote. They only had one television, and whoever had the remote in their possession would control what everyone watched. One afternoon, this kid grabbed it and switched on his favorite show, but he turned off the show his sister had been watching. Hey, that's not fair! Yeah, it's fair enough. She climbed across the couch. She grabbed his wrist, and they started wrestling for the remote. The mom yelled from the kitchen, "If I have to come in there, nobody's watching TV for the rest of the week." They froze for about 3 seconds. Then they continued fighting. His sister finally snapped. She ripped the remote out of his hands and smacked him in the face. It didn't really hurt at first, but then it stung. He walked to the bathroom, looked at himself in the mirror, and that's when he saw it. Oh my God. There was a perfect rectangular mark on his face, and inside the rectangle, backwards, but completely readable, it said, "Made in China." Oh God! Their mom took one look at it and knew exactly what happened. Both of the kids were grounded from TV for the rest of the week, but that mark remained on his face for a long time. He was walking around looking like he'd been manufactured overseas. It's insane. There was a family who kept the same gallon of unopened chocolate milk for 6 years. When the dad bought it 6 years ago, nobody was allowed to drink it. He was convinced that unopened food and beverage would become a collectible and rare over time. He started referring to the milk as an investment. Every few months, he would take it out of the fridge, polish it down, and put it back in the exact same spot. The kids weren't even allowed to move it. One afternoon, the son was moving it around looking for a juice box in the fridge. "Careful! That could pay for your college one day!" Sure it will, Dad. Sure it will. They all thought their dad was insane, but the dad kept researching old food online, on eBay, and kept showing the family. "See, look, this unopened bag of chips sold for $2 grand last year." "Yeah, Dad, that's chips. You're saving milk." Eventually, he bought a tiny refrigerator just to keep this gallon of milk in, and he put a lock on it. The family begged him to throw it away every single day, but he wouldn't. By the end of year 6, this gallon of milk was getting swollen. And one night, they heard a pop coming from the garage. He goes in there. The milk carton had exploded in that tiny fridge that he bought. The smell was so bad, they had to hire a crime scene cleanup company to come and clean it up. This kid said his dad wouldn't stop crying for days. That's pretty sus. She's 20 years old, still living at home. She's in college. That's me. She's got 5 younger siblings. Almost every single day, she is the one cooking, cleaning, and driving the kids around. In this house, that's just how it works. Well, one night she gets home late. Her class gets done at 7:30. Normally she's home by 8, but on this day she stayed to talk to the professor a bit. No big deal, right? But she came home late. Walks in the house around 9:15. "I cannot believe you." Her mom is super mad. The sink's full of dishes. There's no dinner. One of the kids had to be picked up from practice by somebody else. The mom says, "You are absolutely useless." Excuse me? Her feelings were obviously hurt because she is definitely not useless. She does so much for her family every single day. Well, after her mom said that, she didn't fight. She just went right to bed. The next morning, she doesn't wake anybody up like she usually does. She doesn't drive anybody to school. And she doesn't make dinner that night. And then she does it again and again and again. And the house starts failing. Dishes are piling up, laundry doesn't get done, kids are missing school. Now everybody's angry at her. "This is your fault. This is your fault. Useless. Milk." She realized all these things she was doing were expected of her. And when she stopped doing it, nobody stepped up to take over. They blame her. And shortly after that, she moved out. And her family hasn't talked to her since. That's messed up. After class one day, a teacher tells him, "Tomorrow I need you to come to my office hours." "Oh, like right after school?" "Yes." And he's actually excited. At home, he tells his mom, "I got a thing for class tomorrow after school." He tells her it's office hours, and he thinks it's a party. "Ooh, office hours, that sounds fun. Let's go to Costco. We'll have you get some cookies to bring." So they go to Costco. She buys some cookies, chips, some plates. Next day after school, he's walking down the hallway with a plastic bag full of these snacks, and he's excited. He knocks on the teacher's door, smiling, and he goes in. "I didn't know how many people were coming, so I brought extra." "What?" She looks at the food, looks at him. "What are you talking about?" "Office hours." She closes the door quietly and says, "We're here to talk about your failing grade." It's not a party?" "No, He sits down, defeated. He talks to the teacher, and they have a plan to fix his failing grade. And as he's about to leave, all right, well, thanks. I guess I should go do my homework. And wait, I can't let you waste all the food. Let's bring out the cookies and the chips. Let's have a little party, just us two. Okay. And for the next 15 minutes, they sat there and ate cookies and chips and just chatted like two human beings. And then he went on his way. Hey, actually, that's a good teacher. This guy was standing in line at the grocery store. It's a normal day, and right next to him is the priority lane for elderly people and people with disabilities. So there's chairs there. This elderly couple is sitting down waiting to check out. This guy walks up, cuts right in front of him. Excuse me. Hey man, they're already in line. I don't see them standing in line. He's being real smug. And the two elderly people are just sitting there, very uncomfortable. Well, this guy shuts up, but he's fuming. So he looks in the guy's cart. It's a full camping setup. He must be going to camping like right now. Sleeping bag, marshmallows, instant noodles, portable stove, bacon, and one single can of butane gas. Well, the guy's on the phone. He's loud, completely distracted. So this guy reaches into his cart and takes the butane gas, puts it in his own cart. The dude pays for his groceries, leaves. The elderly couple finally checks out, and this guy goes home. But he's sitting there, laughing to himself, because somewhere out there a man pulled into a campsite, got unpacked, and was getting ready to make dinner, but couldn't find the gas anywhere, which would cause him to take a very lengthy drive back to the store. That is awesome. Have you ever wondered how a middle school science lesson could save an entire building from exploding? This 8th grader named John was sitting in chemistry class learning about natural gas. His teacher explained that rotten egg smell isn't actually natural. They add a chemical called mercaptan so people can detect leaks. Your nose can literally smell it at 1 part per billion. Regardless, John thought this was cool. Hey, that's cool. Well, the very next day, during a science lab in a different science class, he noticed a very faint smell of rotten eggs. He raised his hand and said, "Mr. Stevens, I think there might be a gas leak." Well, the teacher brushed it off and said, "John, that's probably from a different experiment or you're making things up." "No, I'm serious. It smells exactly like what Mr. Zern taught us yesterday." But the teacher told him just to sit down and stop disrupting class, please. So John did something bold. He walked straight to the office and he told the principal, "There's a gas leak in the lab. I'm pretty positive." The principal took him very seriously, and he pulled the fire alarm himself and evacuated the entire school. Turns out there was a massive gas leak in the science building. The fire department said that if anybody lit a burner, which they were going to, the whole science wing could have exploded. John literally saved the school because he remembered a lesson from the day before. And yeah, that teacher definitely apologized to him. Big time. That's insane. It's lunch. One group goes to sit down at their normal spot, but another group's already sitting there. This is our table. We've been sitting here all week. Nobody moves. It's a standoff. That's when somebody from one of the groups says, "Hey guys, why don't we all just share the table?" So they all cram into this one table. Awkward small talk at first. Then somebody from Group A comments, "Yo, aren't you that guy that cried during the fire drill?" "It was one time, dude. The alarm was loud." Group A starts laughing. Well, Group B fires back. "Well, didn't you fail the easiest history test last semester? At least I didn't pee my pants during prom." Now it's on. Insults are flying. Old drama resurfacing. One kid slaps another guy. Ka! A teacher walks over. "Hey, what's going on here?" Both groups go silent. "Nothing, we're just bonding." "Yeah, sure you are." Teacher walks away. For the rest of the lunch, they sit there silent. But the next day, they both sat at that table again, and instead of insults, they were actually telling stories and laughing. So, I don't know. I think they all became friends. He graduated 8th grade. I freaking did it. And his school gave him a free meal card for Cane's. I love Cane's. It was his golden ticket. He guarded it like it was a national treasure. But the thing is, whenever he was driving home or to somewhere with his mom, he would always ask, "Mom, I'm hungry. Can I please use my Cane's card now?" She would say, "No, sweetie, because it's only for one Cane's meal. What about your siblings? They'll feel left out." "Well, I can use the card and you can pay for their meals." You think I made up money? The card just lived in his wallet, unused, waiting. Then one day, he goes into his wallet to look at it. It's gone, and he wasn't the one that used it. So now it's a full-blown investigation. He goes downstairs. "Where's my Cane's card? Did somebody use my Cane's card?" His little sister said, no. But he said in that moment, he began to smell the sauce. So he looks in the garbage can. "Cane's box. You?" His little sister cracks instantly.
I went to a doctor's appointment today, and Mom took me to Cane's. She used her card. She grabbed it out of your wallet last night. His mom came home, and she didn't really have a reason why she did this. This kid was heartbroken. The betrayal was biblical. He didn't talk to his mom for weeks after that. That's messed up, dude.
This is what happens when your math teacher sucks. This guy's kid is in 4th grade, and she's been having trouble in math. The whole year she's struggled, but when they got to multiplication and division, she struggled even more. I just don't understand it, Dad. I know, let's just try it again. The thing is, she just doesn't understand the method they're teaching, and it doesn't sound easy. So for multiplying, it's a bunch of steps. You break up the numbers, you draw boxes, then you multiply and then add them together. Something like that. And she gets these problems wrong like 90% of the time. So the dad's like, you know what? I'm gonna teach you the way that I learned how to do multiplication. She's like, okay. And guess what? Oh, Dad, I understand it. She under-frickin-stands it. Homework is a million times easier now because she learned it and she's actually solving the problems. Well, here's the issue. His daughter had a math test a few weeks ago, and she came home very upset.
Dad, I failed.
What? Let me see your test. She got a 50%, even though she only got 2 problems wrong. Technically, it should have been a 92%. So he goes into school and he has a conversation with the teacher. Can you explain why my daughter failed? Teacher says, yes, it's because she didn't use the method that I taught in this class. Excuse me? The dad pointed out that the test just says to show you work. It doesn't say to use a specific method. But she said, well, that's too bad. I taught my method to these students for a reason. Your daughter didn't use it. So she fails. Oh, the dad was furious. He went to the principal. He admits that he made it a pretty big deal. What are you guys teaching in the school, huh? Some bogus way to do multiplication? It's so much easier than that. Now my daughter's failing even though she got a 92% on the test. Except with a lot more yelling. The principal called the teacher in and forced her to change the girl's grade to an A. The principal then apologized to the dad and said, it won't happen again. Better not. But for real, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. One day, this strict teacher stepped into the classroom supply closet. Class, be quiet. I need to step into the closet really fast. And this closet was pretty tight, really small. So she steps in, and this one kid sneaks up to the closet, slams the door, and locks her in it.
Help me. Somebody help me.
At first, everybody was silent, and then they just started laughing. And each student in that classroom left, leaving her locked in the supply closet. Now, I get that she's strict, but this is not something to do to your teacher. An hour later, another teacher heard the screams coming from this empty classroom. She goes in there.
Oh my God, Mrs. Donahue, I'm dying.
She let her out, and the teacher that was locked in there just collapsed, shaking, crying on the floor. After that day, she took 2 weeks off, and every single student in that classroom got into huge trouble. Good. One day, this kid randomly stopped wearing his backpack, and nobody knew why. One weekend, this kid's parents bought a new microwave. So on Monday morning, he starts carrying around all his stuff that would usually be in his backpack, but instead, now, it's in this empty cardboard microwave box. Not the microwave, just the box it was in. People are staring at him. They're like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Teachers are like, where's your backpack? I like this better. And honestly, it worked better for him. The box stood up by itself. Everything in there was organized. He never had to dig around looking for pencils. So here's the funny part. The next week, some kid shows up to school carrying a toaster oven box with all of his backpack stuff in it. Then the next day, another kid came with a vacuum cleaner box. One guy carried around a crock pot box for like a month. Pretty soon, the hallways of the school looked like a frickin' appliance store. Teachers completely gave up trying to understand what was going on, but this kid was just being weird. He accidentally changed the entire school. He started a crazy trend, but it started to get out of hand because people tried to one-up each other and bring bigger and bigger boxes. Kid brought his stuff in a lawnmower box, and it had to be completely shut down. One kid was trying to be funny and was going to bring all of his stuff in a refrigerator box, but he got stopped at the door. But boy, what a glorious semester that was. That's hilarious. This kid started a newspaper at school. And it wasn't the school newspaper. Every Friday, he would show up with around 20 copies of this newspaper he would print at home. And here's the thing. Everything in this newspaper was 100% true. It was all just completely unnecessary. One headline said, Mr. Jenkins bought new shoes. All right. Another one was how the science teacher switched from black coffee to coffee with vanilla creamer. There was an entire article covering the fact that some kid's dad bought a brand new lawnmower, and one about another kid's grandpa who got a new hearing aid. Nobody needed to know any of this stuff, but people couldn't stop reading it. Hey, did you read Johnny's newspaper this week? Yeah, I read that Steven's cat no longer has fleas. The headlines were crazy. Stuff like, Mrs. Carter has worn the same watch every day for 8 years. Or the principal parks in a different spot every time it rains. Or every Wednesday the janitor whistles the same song. Teachers would buy and read these newspapers as well. Hey, how did you know I bought new shoes? The kid would be like, oh, I pay attention. Pretty soon everyone got paranoid because they're like, this kid knows everything. People started acting different because they didn't want to be a headline. But this kid didn't post rumors or gossip. It was just simple stuff. It was harmless. Nobody was getting roasted. It was just information. You know what? You gotta respect the hustle.
When she was in 2nd grade, her older sister got glasses, and instantly she wanted a pair of glasses as well. So she told her parents.
I can't see the board at school.
So they take her to the eye doctor. He does a test, and she's pretending like she can't see. 2 minutes in, he says, yeah, she's lying. She can see fine. But her parents still believed her, and they're like, no, you better give her some glasses. He writes a prescription, and just like that, a week later, her glasses are ready. At first, she loved them, even though she couldn't really see in them because, well, she lied during that test. But she loved the frames, she loved the attention she was getting, but she kept wearing them for years. And her eyes kept adjusting to the prescription, and the prescription kept getting stronger and stronger. We'll flash forward 10 years, and now every day, she wears a pair of the thickest glasses because she actually can barely see without them now. And she's pretty sure it's because back in 2nd grade, she lied when taking the eye test, and she ruined her eyesight forever. Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
The locker was jammed. 3 different kids tried the combo. It wasn't working. A teacher comes up, tries to figure it out, nothing. That's when one sophomore stands there, looks, and says, step aside. He doesn't even glance at the paper that has the combo on it. He just stares at the lock for a second, pulls out a paper clip, and goes to town. Boom. First try, it opens. Oh my god, finally, thank you. That was actually awesome, dude. Now, this was the first day of school, so the hallways were hectic. Everyone trying to get in their lockers. There's books, papers, book bags everywhere. Well, he just turns around and says, anybody else? 5 minutes later, he's walking the halls like some kind of locksmithing expert. He's opening jammed lockers left and right, even helping teachers open their cabinets. Jammed? There you go. Jammed? There you go. He quickly became the locker guy. Turns out his older brother and his dad had their own locksmithing company, so he literally grew up opening locks. No rules broken, no locks damaged, just a nice guy helping people out. And you gotta respect it. This Spanish teacher had a rule. If you forget your pencil, you would have to borrow one from her supply cup and pay her back with a brand new one the next day. But she would always make sure to embarrass you because of it. Well, 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 look who's unprepared again today. Little baby Kyle boy. All right, here, you can have a pencil, but bring me back a new one. Okay? What is wrong with you? Well, this kid named Marcus shows up to school one day with a bag full of sharpened, brand new pencils. And he would sell them. One pencil, 50 cents. No need to pay the teacher back with a brand new pencil the next day, and no public shaming. So that's kind of a win. Pretty soon, it's not just the Spanish class he is selling to. He made little flyers and he passed them around the school. And pretty soon, people were texting him, ordering pencils. Whenever they forgot one, he was the guy they would go to. Just 50 cents. Well, it got popular. Business was booming. So he upped his game a little bit. He had a premium package with the highest quality mechanical pencils you could imagine. He bought them in bulk, so they were pretty cheap, and he would charge $2 per mechanical pencil. And people were buying those as well. He was selling out every time. Eventually, Marcus had an incredibly loyal customer base and a bunch of single-dollar bills in a shoebox under his bed. You gotta respect Marcus, and you gotta respect the hustle. There was this kid in high school who refused to buy a desk chair, and instead, he would sit on 3 milk crates stacked on top of each other every single day when he was gaming. All of his friends roasted him for it. That's your chair, bro? You're a freaking loser. But he would always say, why would I spend hundreds on a chair when these crates work? Well, one day his back starts killing him. His legs kept falling asleep. And that is actually when he realized there's a reason why people buy actual chairs. Well, that's kind of where I'm at, guys. I've been editing YouTube shorts in this random chair for 8 hours a day, every day. I finally upgraded. It's 100% the upgrade I've been needing. Heiser 3. Look at these armrests. What? It's got a magnetic pillow. My favorite part. I'm taking a nap
the Kaiser
now,
3
guys.
is so comfortable. $30 off with the code Elliot. Come on, baby. Hit it.
The first week of school, the vending machines in the hallway were out of order, but one student realized that they weren't broken. The school just wasn't letting anybody use them. Sorry kids, they're fixing them next month. No snacks. No snacks?
Oh, man.
But one day, this junior named Derek saw one of the janitors unlock the machine with this tiny round key. Well, he recognized this silver key. It was the same kind of key his dad used for his padlocks at work. Well, that night, Derek dug through the junk drawers at his house, looking for these keys, and he found about 5 of them.
Yes. Yes.
The next day, during the passing period, he went to the vending machines. He put the first key in, and it unlocked. Apparently, it was the most basic of these keys, and it worked. He opened it up just enough to grab one snack and put it in his backpack. Well, this gave him a brilliant idea. By the end of the week, he had gone into that vending machine multiple times and only took out the most popular, most tasty snacks. And because these vending machines had been broken for so long, nobody really noticed, and there weren't any cameras in the hallway. Well, he would take these popular snacks and he would sell them for double the price of what the vending machine would have sold them for. Yo, bro, you always have the best snacks. Where do you get them? Don't worry about it, Chief. Don't worry about it. By the time the school fixed the vending machines, Derek had made a good chunk of change, and nobody ever realized that those snacks were taken. Now that is crazy, and you gotta respect the hustle. This would happen across the school every single day. Different classrooms, different floors, but every day at exactly 12:17 p.m. Can I use the bathroom? 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 Nothing suspicious. Not really a pattern that these teachers could put together very easily because, like I said, they were each in a different classroom. But here's what nobody knew. At the far end of the school, in the quiet bathroom nobody ever uses, these kids would go and run full-blown underground Beyblade battles. Every day after they released from the classroom, they would sprint to this bathroom. And when they would get there, they would let it frickin' rip. They had a few of those classic plastic Beyblade arenas, and they were just going to town. They would put money on it as well. Come on, I got 20 bucks on this. You're totally gonna lose, bro. Milk. Doesn't that sound frickin' awesome? They had a blast. I would love this. Well, more and more people were kind of told about this, and more students began joining. And eventually, it became this kind of thing. They were caught and shut down forever. But nobody forgot about that. The random bathroom Beyblade battles at 12:17 p.m. every day. That's awesome. My bike chain broke. Call Bike Boy. This neighborhood had this one kid. Everybody called him when their bike broke. He could fix anything. Flat tire, if your chain fell off, the brakes were wonky, call him. Hey, my brakes are wonky. I'm on 5th Street. You called the right guy. He showed up carrying this beat up old backpack. He drove a bike, and attached to the bike was this trailer thing that he would keep all his tools in, spare tires, chains. He had a bike pump. It was a mobile bike repair shop. He even made his own tiny business cards. Tyler's Bike Rescue, and his phone number. The entire neighborhood kept them in their wallets because you never knew when you needed them. Even parents would put these business cards on their refrigerator. Business started getting bigger and bigger. Suddenly, he wasn't just fixing bikes. He would install new grips, swap the pedals out for something nicer, adjust seats, improve the seats. He was now a bike repair and customization service. Every afternoon, there'd be 2 or 3 bikes flipped upside down in this kid's driveway, and he'd be working on them. People were paying him pretty good. And by the end of summer, Tyler, this random middle school kid, became the neighborhood's official bike roadside assistance and customization. You gotta respect the hustle. Every night at 8 p.m., this kid's parents would shut off the internet. It didn't matter what he was doing. And to turn it back on, you had to have the password. Homework, group projects, whatever, it didn't matter. At 8 p.m., the Wi-Fi was getting shut down. At first, he's mad, like this is not fair, but then he realizes the neighbor's Wi-Fi signal is very strong, and they're very old, so there wasn't a Wi-Fi password. He begins doing his homework on their Wi-Fi by his bedroom window. Okay, perfect. It works. But then like winter hits and the signal gets worse for some reason. Dang it, connect, send! Don't! He starts getting closer and closer to the neighbor's house. He begins sitting on his front porch, then outside their windows. This goes on for weeks. Sometimes the signal's better, sometimes it's horrible. Until one night, the signal was very bad, so he was sitting directly underneath their bedroom window. He didn't know it was their bedroom, but another neighbor saw it. What is that creep doing? And yeah, I guess it would look pretty creepy, this dude sitting outside the neighbor's window with a laptop. In the dark, the police get called, the cop shows up, he explains to them, I'm using their Wi-Fi. Mine gets cut off at 8 p.m. by my parents. I have homework to do. Cop's not even mad at him. He's like, where are your parents? The parents come out. The cop says, you shut off the Wi-Fi at 8 p.m.?
He's got homework to do. Look what he's doing. He shames the parents. And the parents are very embarrassed because, yeah, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Nobody gets in trouble that day, and the parents stopped turning the Wi-Fi off. That's just wild.
This kid noticed something about the Gatorade machine at his school. Only 2 flavors, yellow and blue. Now, nobody touched the yellow ones because the yellow Gatorades suck. So whenever they went there, they were getting the blue ones. Well, one morning before first period, he walks to the Gatorade machine and he notices that there's only 8 blue Gatorades left, but there's a ton of yellow ones. Well, he took a risk and he decided to buy every single blue Gatorade left, all 8. He carries them to his locker and he puts them in this little cooler he would bring to school every day that held his lunch. It kept the Gatorades cold. Well, at lunch, everybody went to the vending machine. They were ticked off. Wait, only yellow left? That sucks! Kids are standing there like, yo, what happened? That's when this kid came out of nowhere. Yeah, sorry guys, there was only 8 blue Gatorades left this morning, so I got them all. Yo, can I buy one from you? How much you gonna give me? $1.50 like the vending machine takes? No, you see, because now there's supply and demand. I gotta charge you more than the vending machine. Fine, I'll give you $3. Yeah, dude, I'm so thirsty. 4? Deal. He sold all of those Gatorades for an upcharge, and he made pure profit that day. It wasn't crazy money. The next day, he tried to do it again, but at that point, the school had restocked all the blue Gatorades, so it would have been insane to buy 30 of them. But hey, that's the mindset you need, my friends, and you gotta respect the frickin' hustle, baby.
There was a kid named Ian. He was the shortest kid in elementary school. The bullies loved making fun of him. Hey, short stack, what's the weather like down there?
Bruh.
One night he came home and he sat at the kitchen table and he talked to his dad. Dad, they won't leave me alone. His dad didn't tell him to ignore it. His dad didn't call to school. Ian, come with me. I want to show you something. They go downstairs and Ian realizes that this corner of the basement wasn't used for storage. There was a punching bag there. A full boxing setup. Gloves, wraps, a speed bag, a heavy bag. Like a mini gym in this corner of their basement. Whoa. Son, you're going to train. You're not going to train to hurt them. You train so you don't feel so helpless. So Ian starts practicing every day, day after day, and he's getting pretty good. Then, one day in the cafeteria, Ian's carrying his lunch. He walks past the bully's table and he tries to ignore them. One of the bullies steps up and smacks the tray into his face. Food everywhere, milk dripping down his shirt. Everybody's laughing at him. And then Ian snaps. He puts his tray down calmly, walks straight up to that bully, pops him right in the face. Then another one. Clean, quick punches. The bully's stunned. He falls down. He's like, all right, stop. All right, stop. Ian walks away. He's taken to the office and he's suspended for a whole week. But nobody messed with him ever again. He never had to use his boxing skills ever again. But he knows he has them, and if he has to use them, he will respect.
In most classrooms, misbehavior gets you a warning or a detention. Well, back in the 80s, it was something completely different. In this classroom, any deviation from the system, like talking too much or misbehaving, throwing stuff, spitballs, it required a physical debt. Hey, Kyle, spitball! The teacher didn't make them sit in a corner or put a goofy hat on. Next to his desk on the floor laid a sheet of coarse sandpaper. One mistake, you had to get up there and kneel down on the sandpaper. And you weren't just kneeling, you were working. You had to stay in that exact position while your knees grinded onto the grit while you had to write massive amounts of words. And what you normally did is there were a list of 30 words and you had to write each word 10 times. The punishment was designed to make them try to write fast, because the longer you took to write these words, the longer you had to kneel. It's actually incredibly horrifying, and it would completely not fly today. I can't believe that's what they did back then. Eventually, they stopped doing that, thank God. But that teacher never got in trouble because, well, it was the 80s. He was a kid. His mom dragged him to the nearest 7-Eleven. I don't want to go. Well, that's too bad. Well, they get there. She goes in the store, but he waits outside. He then sees this older, strange-looking guy sitting against a wall. Hey. Hey, want to see something cool? And he's a kid, so he said yes. Of course he wants to see something cool, which you should never do. The man then smiles, and then pulls off a prosthetic leg, and showed this kid his leg stump. Look at this. The leg stump had a very weird smiley face drawn on it in Sharpie. The kid absolutely freaks out. That's not cool. The man then panics because I guess he had good intentions. Oh, no, wait, look, it's actually cool, look. The kid's now ugly crying. The mom runs out of the store. What's going on? His leg. The man's embarrassed. The mom's freaking out at him. I don't know why he showed the kid his leg stump anyway, but she went home with her kid. And years later, when he sees a 7-Eleven, he freaks out a little bit still. This kid had the weirdest job at school. He fixed people's reputations. See, anytime somebody embarrassed themselves, they would feel horrible. They would feel like everyone's talking about them. It wasn't a nice feeling. Like if someone was tripped in the hallway, called the teacher mom, threw up at lunch, everybody would spend the rest of the day talking about it. Unless this kid got involved. Because what he would do is if he was paid enough money or given something valuable enough, he would start an even crazier rumor about somebody else. Not really mean rumors, just unbelievable ones that would make everybody forget what that one kid went through. Dude, you hear that one kid, Tyler, brought a turtle to class? No, it wasn't a turtle, it was a bag of turtle poop. And once something like that spread around, the previous embarrassment, the one the kid paid to get rid of, went away. And it worked brilliantly because people's attention spans are shorter than you think. When other people found out who this reputation fixer was, he began to have clients. People kept his phone number in their phone just in case they would ever need him. And a lot of kids did. Bro, you gotta help me. Text me the details, send me $15, and by lunch, you'll be good. He would then get the text, the money, he would disappear. By lunch, wow. Kid's a genius. Gone. You gotta respect the hustle. Mr. Gene was a creepy teacher. Big guy, super weird energy. And he had bottles and bottles of Febreze behind his desk. And I guess he had a very strong nose as well, because he took it very personally when someone would come to class smelling bad. If he didn't like the way someone smelled, they would sit down and he would Febreze the air. Well, one day class started normally. He was teaching like normal.
The Industrial Revolution was one of the greats.
He locked eyes with this one kid. He didn't like what he smelled, so he grabbed the Febreze bottle. He marched right over to this kid. Can I help you? And Mr. Gene just sprayed over and over and over for like 15 seconds. This kid didn't know what to do, so he's just sitting there getting drenched in Febreze. Please stop.
Smell better next time.
Turns around, goes to the front of the class, and begins teaching again like nothing happened. Crazy part is that teacher taught for another 5 years before he retired. I don't know how he wasn't fired. This kid ran a crazy summer hustle. His neighbor's name was Mr. Henderson.
I'm Mr. Henderson.
And he had just left for a 2-week camping trip, but he left his in-ground pool unattended. Most kids would sneak over for a quick dip, but this guy had a different idea. He turned his neighbor's backyard into a literal water park, and he charged every kid on the block $5 for a day pass. Step right up, water park day pass is $5. And people were paying. It was immediately a full-blown operation. There was a cooler full of sodas, there were folding chairs everywhere, and the front yard was a pile of bikes. And these two guys were by the gate, collecting $5 bills. On day 4, the party was at its peak. 15 kids in the backyard, cannonballs, Marco Polo. Some dude fired up Mr. Henderson's grill and was making hot dogs. Then, Mr. Henderson shows up. What in God's name is going on back here? You see, obviously, one of the other neighbors called Mr. Henderson to let him know what was going on. So he came back from his trip super early. Backyard was dead silent. But what Mr. Henderson did, nobody expected. You, come here. Yes? Listen, I'm going back camping, okay? You can stay here as long as you clean up every day, and by the time I get back, it needs to be spotless. You understand? Oh, yeah. Stay out of my house, too, but have fun. And that was that. For the rest of the 2 weeks, those kids had the most fun they've ever had on a summer break. And yeah, that sounds awesome. This kid's not all there. I'm thirsty. But he wanted to focus really hard on this spelling test. He didn't want to be distracted by taking a sip of water or asking to go get some. So this was his brilliant idea. He went to the water fountain before class. He got a very big gulp of water and left it in his mouth. He heard that this is what the squirrels do. They put nuts in their mouth and they save them for later. Well, that was his idea, but with water. So now he's sitting in class. The teacher's naming the words, and he's writing the spelling down with a bunch of water in his mouth.
All right, class, your next word is fortitude.
His plan was to take small, tiny gulps throughout the test, so he never went thirsty. Well, about 2 minutes into the test, his cheeks give way, and a bunch of water just falls right on his desk. The test and the desk were soaked, and water was now spilling on the floor, and other kids noticed. The teacher walks over. Why is there a bunch of water on your desk and the floor? The kid didn't know how to respond, so he just looks her in the eyes and said, I have no idea. The teacher was so confused by that answer that she just walked away. No more questions were asked. He failed that spelling test. What? All right, class. First, we dissect. Then, eat. This biology teacher had a side job as a chef, and apparently he was pretty good. Well, the kids in his biology class would frequently have these days, dissection days, where you would dissect frogs, cats, I don't know. But most of the time, the teacher would order a bunch of squid from the local market. The squid would be thawed out, raw, and passed out to every student. All right, you should all have a worksheet and a squid. You have 25 minutes. Get to dissect it. Everybody would dissect the squids. They would use the ink to write messages to each other. It sounds kind of fun if you like that kind of stuff. But then the teacher would do something different. He would pull out a George Foreman portable grill from underneath his desk, plug it in, and preheat that baby. Then he would collect all these squids from each lab table, bring them up, season them, and toss them on the grill. Oh, it's smelling good. The first time he did this, the students thought he was absolutely insane. They're like, there's no way we're gonna eat that. But then someone tried it. Wait, that's actually good. Let me try. That is good. I guess the way he cooked this squid was just delectable, and they were constantly looking forward to these days. And although it sounds weird, I think that's a good teacher. This is kind of sad. There's this freshman kid at a new school. He's smart, he's quiet, but he's convinced that the only way people will like him is if he gives them something. So he gives everything. Answers for worksheets, extra help on projects. He does other people's homework to make it easier on them. People thank him in the moment and they're grateful, but that's about it. Nobody actually wants to hang out with him. One day after school, he's venting to his mom. People only talk to me when I give them something, and then they never want to hang out with me. Saying stuff like how he thought he had friends, but it turns out he actually has none. She listens, and then blurts out words without even thinking. Well, maybe they don't hang out with you because you're basically a doormat. A doormat! He goes quiet and nods, and he goes to his room, and he cries himself to sleep. That's sad, dude. This school sold popcorn every Friday. Plain, no butter, no seasoning, just small, sad bags for $1. Well, one day, this kid Tyler shows up with a frickin' plan. He brings a small lunchbox to lunch, and inside, dozens of mini popcorn seasoning shakers. Ranch, nacho cheese, cinnamon sugar, literally anything. Hey, yo, can I use that, man? Totally, homie. $0.25 per shake. Now, at first, people thought this was kind of ridiculous. $0.25 for one shake of popcorn seasoning? But once people started trying it, it was game frickin' over. He would stand on top of the lunch tables, shaking seasonings into people's popcorn bags while kids are sliding and throwing in quarters. It was kind of bussin'. And Tyler wouldn't just stop there. If somebody was broke, he would say, I season it for you now, you bring me $0.25 tomorrow. Or else, I'm writing your name down, I don't forget. By the end of the month, all the popcorn was seasoned to perfection thanks to Tyler. One day, Tyler's counting out $20 in quarters when the principal comes up to him and says, we do not run seasoning businesses in this lunchroom. You're done. And he was shut down. You gotta respect the hustle, though. What happens when the school bully becomes the hero? I'll tell you. This happened at a middle school in Ohio. There was this one kid named Steven, and he was getting bullied every single day by the same group of seniors. He was being shoved into lockers, his lunch tray was getting knocked over, the usual stuff. I hate my life. Well, here's the thing. There was another bully at school, the biggest bully, this dude named Jake, and everyone was terrified of him. Well, I guess he'd been watching what had been happening to Steven. I just kept seeing it happen every day. One day, something snapped. He sees them bullying Steven, so he walks right up and says, hey, look at me. You touch him again, you're gonna deal with me, okay? The bullies immediately stop. Oh, hey, Jake, yeah, no, whatever, man. We're just messing around, no big deal, we'll stop. And just like that, they stopped messing with Steven. But Jake doesn't stop there because Steven was a new kid at school. He didn't want people messing with him for some reason. So Jake starts walking Steven to class every day, sits by him at lunch, basically becomes his bodyguard. You didn't have to do that, man. Yeah, it did. Teachers are freaking out because they don't know what to do. The biggest bully in school is now protecting the most vulnerable kid in school. Well, here's the thing. Jake got suspended for 1 week because another kid was messing with Steven and he pushed him into the wall. The school didn't care that he was sticking up for somebody, but he didn't complain. And when the suspension was over, he kept being buddies with Steven. And that is awesome. Is it just me, or is banning a student from the bathroom a horrible idea? There was this one student who was basically infamous for wandering the hallways. He would ask to use the bathroom every single day during class. Can I use the bathroom? Again? Okay, fine, but hurry. He would then go and take like 30 minutes. Every time. When I was in school, I knew a few kids like this. Well, anyway, he would be gone for a long time. The teachers would go out and they would find him just wandering the halls, talking to friends through their classroom door, just killing time. It got so bad that the school banned him from taking bathroom breaks during class, and they sent a memo to every single one of his teachers. Anyway, one day this kid ate fish tacos during lunch, which already, that's a horrible idea. Well, midway through third period, he begins sweating. Ugh. He raises his hand. Can I go to the bathroom, please? My stomach hurts. Nice try. But no. So he tries to keep it together. 20 minutes later, he's practically doubled over. The teacher still refuses. And then it happens. Right there in the middle of class, in front of everybody. And it's a frickin' mess. Turns out the kid had actual food poisoning. But he wasn't the only kid to get food poisoning. Other kids also had it. But they were allowed to go to the bathroom. He wasn't. The school ended up settling in court with this kid's parents. And they got a good amount of money. Turns out, it doesn't matter if the kid was wandering hallways or skipping class, banning them from the bathroom is not okay. But it didn't matter how much money his parents received in the court case. He was still made fun of for the rest of his time at that school. That is messed up. Meet Johnny. Johnny thought he was the smartest kid in the 7th grade. He spent all Monday night practicing his fake stomach pains. Ooh, something kind of hurts. Hope I'm not getting sick. I hope you feel better, sweetie. Well, it works, because on Tuesday morning, his mom fell for it. Oh, Mom, the pain is worse. Oh, my poor baby. Well, I'm heading to work. I'll call you into school. Stay home. Get some rest. Okay. He felt like he pulled off the heist of a century. Spent all day playing video games, thinking to himself, my friends are probably so jealous of me right now. Well, the next morning, he goes back to school, walks in like a king. What's up, guys? The second he gets into the building, he stops. The floors look extra shiny. Everyone's huddled in different groups, watching a video on their phone. He sees his friends. Yo, what's up? His friend says, bro, you picked the worst day to be sick. Apparently, during third period the day before, there was supposed to be a routine fire drill. But it wasn't just the alarm that went off. Something malfunctioned, and the sprinklers in the main hallway went off. We're talking gallons and gallons and gallons of water hitting those floors. One kid even took the bathroom soap and sprayed it on the floors as the sprinklers were coming down. Slip and slide! The best part was, it was 100 degrees outside, so this felt awesome. Teachers were sliding, the principal slipped, the weird kid from class used a lunch tray as a boogie board. Everybody went home soaking wet, but they said it was the best day of school ever, and that's all anyone talked about for years. There was Johnny. Oh, that sounds fun. It was amazing. Hope you're feeling better, by the way. Oof. Tough break. This school had a zero tolerance rule, and it sounded fair until kids realized what that actually meant. If a fight happened, everybody involved would get the same punishment. Didn't matter who started it, didn't matter who swung first. If you were involved, it was all the same. And on paper, it was supposed to stop the bullying. In reality, it did the opposite. The bullies figured it out fast. They'd corner somebody, shove them, taunt them, and then they would say the same thing. Go ahead, hit me, loser. You're getting in trouble regardless. But you won't. And the victims, they learned the lesson as well. If they stayed still and took the beating, they'd be punished. If they would fight back, they'd also be punished. It was the same outcome. So something changed. Kids who usually froze stopped freezing. If I'm getting in trouble either way, I'm not holding back. Fights stopped becoming these quick one-sided scuffles. They became explosive, unpredictable. One day, a bully was picking on this kid he normally does. Idiot, loser, freak. And the kid that he was bullying went feral. Shoved him so hard he fell through the classroom window. One fight was so nuts, it took 5 staff members to break it up. And this was all because of the zero tolerance rules. These kids that were picked on were not holding back anymore. They're like, screw this. I'm not taking it if I'm going to get in trouble as well. The school administration eventually started to panic. The rule meant to stop violence made it more extreme. They then changed the rule back to what it was before this. But it was never really the same after that. That's nuts. Yo, this is karma. So when they were younger, these two best friends had this habit. They would drive around at night smashing mailboxes for fun. One drove, the other would swing the bat outside the window. Nice. One night, they spot this loose mailbox that caught their eye, and instead of hitting it, their friend got out and yanked it completely out of the ground and threw it in the middle of the street. Yo, just pulled it out. And it was a big mailbox with this long metal pole, and now it's just laying in the middle of the street. They drive off, they're laughing, they're blasting music, then they decide to make their way back home. And they're speeding, they're going really fast, when all of a sudden the driver's like, wait, isn't this the same road that, bam, the car hits something? It's the mailbox that they put in the middle of the street. The big mailbox. They get out to inspect the damage. The mailbox had put a major dent right in the front of the car, and half of it was under, and it kind of tore some stuff up underneath as well. The car was screwed. Bro, you're screwed. Me? You're the one that pulled it out. You told me to. They had no choice. This kid had to call his dad, and his dad had to come and they had to explain everything to him. And yeah, they were in major trouble. This school prank lasted for 2 years. It all began at this high school when a single rubber duck appeared in the school's water fountain. And nobody thought much of it. It was just a random duck. Who cares? Until the next day, 2 ducks, then 4, then 10. By the end of that week, there was rubber ducks appearing in every sink, every toilet, and even in students' lockers. Teachers were losing their minds. The principal, she was done. She kept saying on the intercom, whoever's responsible for the ducks, speak up now, please. Silence. Nobody confessed. So they gave up. They figured it would eventually sizzle out. But here's the thing, it never stopped. For 2 years, rubber ducks would randomly appear in the craziest of places. Ceiling tiles, inside the vending machines, somehow. One duck even appeared in the vice principal's car. It became a legend till this senior year. It was graduation. The principal was giving her speech when suddenly a banner dropped down. What was on the banner? A single rubber duck. This kid walked to the front of the stage and said, "It was me. It was always me."
In 7th grade, this kid realized that Pokemon cards were frickin' currency. His older brother handed him a shoebox full one day. "Hey bro, you can have these." "Hey, thanks, Johnny." And they were great cards. There was EXs, GXs, full arts, super rare cards in there. And at first he brought them to school to show them off. But then someone offered him $15 for that one. "Okay, thanks, here you go." And that's when it clicked. He built out a binder, he set prices for specific cards, and he started dropping little hints around the hallways. This full art right here is only available today at lunch. After that, it's off the table forever. And that created urgency, because kids were like, oh my gosh, I want that card, I can only get it today. And suddenly, kids were lining up by his lunch table. It was kind of epic. He would also sell in the hallways, in the bathrooms. Between periods, it was just him. He didn't have a business partner. And teachers were seeing this like, oh, how cute. He's making a little pocket change selling his cute little cards. But no. By the end of that year, he pulled in more than $3,400. And that is a business mindset. You gotta respect the hustle.
It was week 2 at summer camp. One kid realized the lake wasn't just for swimming. It was for business. He dragged a canoe down to the dock, and instead of just paddling around, he offered rides. And these weren't just regular canoe rides. He called them customized canoe experiences. The first customer was a kid trying to impress his crush. The canoe kid cleans the canoe, he pulls out a Bluetooth speaker, puts on love songs, throws down blankets as seat cushions, and hands them a pack of Twizzlers. Boom. $10 romantic canoe ride. This is nice. I like canoes. The next ride was a totally different vibe. 2 kids wanted to skip rocks in the middle of the lake. The canoe kid plays rap music and brings a bunch of flat rocks in a bucket. He takes them out there and lets them go wild. Boom, $10. Soon he's offering packages. There was the silence special for the kids that were fed up with their bunkmates. Soft music, calm paddling, and no talking for 20 minutes. It was like a meditation on the lake. And these customized experiences were spreading like wildfire. Everybody wanted to get a trip on this magical canoe. And by the end of camp, he made a pretty decent chunk of money. And the kids loved the service he provided. So yeah, you gotta respect the hustle. This kid used to be popular. What's up, Carla? Hey, what up, Johnny? Hey, look, it's the loser, Steven. Screw you, Steven. He used to be untouchable. He would bully a bunch of people, his friends would laugh, the girls in the school loved him, and so did the teachers. But one Monday, he came back to school with a haircut. And it was bad. No, it wasn't just bad.
It was horrible, like a freaking cartoon villain. Hey guys, how we doing today? What's up, Carla? What? You look like Coconut Head. What happened to you? Your haircut sucks. And like I said, it was actually bad. Like, it was uneven, there wasn't a fade, it was just cut horribly. And just like that, it was over. Every day, kids would laugh at him. Even when his hair grew back and he had a normal haircut, people still made fun of him. He eventually just stopped talking in the halls, in class, to his friends. He would eat lunch alone. Kids were making jokes as he walked by. And that's how the king of the school turned into the punchline of everyone's jokes. Hey, that's karma for you. He got detention on his birthday. No! So apparently he was talking back to a teacher and the teacher gave him after school detention today. But it's my birthday. I don't care. So it was after school, he was in detention, sitting there. Sad. He was supposed to be hanging out with his friends. Sucks so bad. But then the detention room door busted open and his 5 best friends walked in. Hey yo, happy birthday, bro. What's up, brother? Happy birthday, man. Yo, what? The detention teacher was like, hey, you guys can't be in here. It's his birthday, man. Come on. One friend brought in cupcakes, soda, balloons, and they passed cupcakes and soda out to everybody in the classroom, even the teacher. Oh, thank you. Hey, we get a cupcake too. Of course, man, enjoy. This party's for everybody. And then they sang to their friend, happy birthday to you. I blow out your candle, bro. And for the rest of the detention period, they were listening to music, eating cupcakes, and the teacher that tried to shut it down at first ordered a frickin' pizza. And by the end, nobody wanted to leave. You know what? There's still some pizza left and some soda. 20 more minutes, huh? Hey, nice! Honestly, best birthday ever. That's frickin' awesome. The fight started in the hallway, slamming into lockers, shouting, loud noises. When it was finally over, one teacher saw one kid whose shirt was ripped. And that was Ethan. Hey, I'm Ethan. Ethan didn't throw a punch. He wasn't even a part of the fight. He was just the one who was trying to pull his best friend Marcus off of the other kid. So when the principal called Ethan to the office, Ethan just took the hit. Did you do this? Yeah, I did. And what about your friend Marcus? I saw him near you. Was he involved too? No, he wasn't. It was all me. He's suspended for 3 days. When he comes back, a few people treated him a little differently, like he was some sort of, bad kid. But a couple days later, his friend Marcus couldn't hold it in anymore. He felt guilty. So he went to the principal's office. He was crying. He told them the complete truth. The next day, Ethan's called in. You could have cleared your own name. Why didn't you? Nah, it just didn't feel right. Marcus has got enough stuff going on. I'm incredibly proud of you, Ethan. I am. By the end of that year, Ethan's grades aren't perfect. But the principal writes him a college recommendation letter. And it was so good that he got into his first choice college. That's amazing. This is insane. A kid goes to a friend's house for dinner. They're sitting down. It's spaghetti night. Okay, we know the rules, everyone. We must say what we're thankful for. They're all sitting down, the food's in front of them. This kid assumes that they each say one thing and then move on to eat. But the mom then says this, before each and every bite. Wait, before each bite? Yeah, it builds gratitude. So the plates are steaming, nobody's eating yet, and it gets to the dad first. I'm thankful for my family. Then it moves to this kid's friend. I'm thankful for spaghetti. And then it gets to this kid. Go on. I'm thankful for math class. That's good. It keeps going, bite after bite after bite. By round 6, this kid is losing it. I'm thankful for forks and gravity and oxygen. Hey, don't get smart. Dinner takes 2 hours, and this kid decides to leave. And as he's walking out, he whispers to himself, I'm thankful I'm never coming back here again. Yeah, no kidding. The locker room at this one school was built on a limestone creek, but nobody cared about the foundation. One day, this kid named Mike was running late to gym class, and he was the only one in the locker room because everybody else was in the gym. He was sitting on a bench, tying his shoe. What is that noise? He hears a strange noise coming from the floor, so he stood up. And he felt the ground kind of dip. He realized the floor definitely didn't look right. So when he goes to the gym, he tells the PE teacher, Coach, I think the floor in the locker room is moving and it made a loud noise. But the coach did not care. Oh, you scared of the floorboards now, Mike? The floor isn't moving, you're going crazy. Now everyone's laughing at him. You know what, actually?
Get down and give me 20 push-ups right now. So now, middle of the gym, everyone's standing around Mike as he's doing push-ups. Mike's afraid of the floor. Isn't that right, coach? Shut up, Billy. At the end of the push-ups, Mike stands up. The coach gives one last word. So from now on, stop being so frickin' soft and get to gym on time. But right as he said that, a loud crash was heard throughout the entire school. They go to the locker room. Oh, look, coach. The floor had collapsed. There was a 5-foot wide hole, and the lockers had fallen in it. It was a frickin' sinkhole. Mike was right. I think Mike was right, coach. You got something to say to me, coach? Yeah. Everyone evacuate the locker room. And he never apologized to Mike. But it all started because this kid's family owned a carpet store, which meant their garage was full of carpet samples. Little squares that are all different colors and different textures. Little mini carpets. And now most people would have looked at these and saw worthless pieces of carpet, but he did not ignore it. He saw a business opportunity. So one Monday, he brings a stack of these carpet samples to school. He takes 2 and sets them on each side of his desk. And that, for that class, was where he put his elbows. Bro, what are those? Oh, these? They're desk carpets. They keep my elbows comfortable. All class period. And that's all he had to say. Immediately, people wanted these little luxurious desk mats. And he just starts charging $5, $2, honestly, whatever people had. Bag of chips? Sure, here's 2 squares. Enjoy your class. After a while of doing this, a bunch of students at that school were using these every single day. The more the demand went up, the more he charged for the nicer quality fabrics. Business was absolutely flippin' booming. In total, he made around $700, and then the school shut him down, because that's what schools do. That's how you gotta think, and you gotta respect it. There was this kid whose locker was in the best spot of the school. It sat directly under one of the school's air conditioning vents. It's nice and chilly over here. Nobody paid attention to it, not really even him, until one day he throws a Gatorade on the top shelf of his locker. Comes back a couple hours later, whoa, this is ice cold. And it's cold. So the next day he tries it again with a soda, a warm soda. He puts it in the morning, he checks it after lunch. Oh, that's a crispy soda. That's when he gets an idea. Instead of filling the top shelf of his locker with his own drinks, he starts renting shelf space. $1 to keep your drink in there until lunch. $2 if you wanted it till the end of the day, to have a cold drink for practice or something. People didn't believe him at first. Dude, there's no way your locker is like a refrigerator. Until one dude tried it. He went to pick up his Dr. Pepper before lunch, and it was cold. No, guys, it actually worked. It was first come, first serve, until the top shelf of the locker was rented out completely. And there was always someone who couldn't get a spot because it was booked up. Kids lined up before the first bell at his locker, holding milk, Gatorade. One kid said, "Will it freeze my ice cream?" He had it organized. He put sticky notes on with the person's name so he knows whose was whose. Teachers found out, but they were just amazed. Like, yo, what a smart kid. And what a strong air conditioning vent. And according to the students, that was the most valuable locker in the school. Yeah, I believe it. And guess what? You gotta respect the hustle. It started at lunch one day when this kid pulled out a Ziploc bag of perfectly peeled orange slices. It was clean, cold citrus. Immediately, the kid next to him goes, "Yo, can I have one?" "Yeah, for $1. The next day, he brings 2 bags. The day after that, he brings 5 bags. He starts charging people $1 per baggie. And people actually paid. Business was absolutely booming. He calls it the Fresh Citrus Company, and he draws his logo on each Ziploc bag with a Sharpie. It's an orange with sunglasses on. Within a couple weeks, business was booming so much that he was bringing these unpeeled oranges to school, and he had hired 2 other students to help him peel them throughout the day. He had to train them on how to peel because part of his business was having the perfectly peeled orange slices. He called these guys his citrus team, and he split some of the profits with them. But it all ends when a teacher pulls him aside and tells him that he has to stop.
You aren't allowed to sell food on school grounds unless approved by the district. You're shut down.
He challenged this, but then the principal got involved and it was kind of a whole thing, so the business was shut down. That day, he got together with his citrus team. They each had one last slice together, and they went their separate ways. "It's been an honor, team. I will peel oranges for you anytime. Godspeed. Godspeed." You gotta respect the hustle. This teacher was the strictest in the school. No phones, no talking, and absolutely no food. But then one morning, before class, she saw a single flaming hot Cheeto perfectly taped to the middle of her desk. What is this? She peeled the snack off, put it in the garbage, and monitored the room incredibly well that day. Nobody came forward. The next day, Another Cheeto, taped with a single piece of Scotch tape on the pencil sharpener. Another one. The next day, another one taped to the back of her chair. The day after that, it was taped to her escape key on her keyboard. What is going on? She had no idea who was doing this, and it was messing with her badly. So she went to the school principal and the people in charge, and they're like, okay, settle down, it's just a Cheeto, but I'll make an announcement. The principal was young and new, and he was about to make a major mistake.
Good morning, students. Whoever keeps taping single hot Cheetos to things in Mrs. Gable's room, please stop.
Uh-oh. He made that announcement to a middle school. What happened next? Dozens of students thought it was hilarious and started doing the exact same thing. There was flamin' hot Cheetos taped everywhere. Library books, school trophy case, the gym scoreboard. So the school tried to kill this joke for Mrs. Gable, but instead they accidentally started a cult, the taped hot Cheeto cult, and there was nothing they could do about it. The only thing that kills a trend is time, and it took some time. They had a substitute teacher, and Henry was sitting in the back of the classroom. He was minding his business. And the substitute came in that day strict for no reason. He scanned the classroom and he saw Henry in the back. He sees two small devices in Henry's ears. Hey, you! Give me those headphones now. Okay. He didn't argue, he just handed over the devices. The substitute then took these, put it in the drawer, and began teaching. About 10 minutes later, he needed a volunteer. Okay, one of you come up here. You know what? How about you? In the back. Henry. No response. Since you wanted to listen to music all class, why don't you come up here and help me? Still nothing. He then lost it and walked straight to Henry. Hi, hello? Why are you ignoring me? Oh, you were talking to me? Yes. I'm sorry, I can't understand you, sir. You made me give you my hearing aids. This dude had confiscated Henry's medical necessity, and boy, did he feel stupid about that. Well, why didn't you tell me? I don't know, you seemed real strict about it. He returned the hearing aids right then and there, but he never returned to that school. Yeah, I wouldn't either. The legendary substitute. It was last period, 90 minutes long, and this class's teacher was out for 2 days, so a sub came in to cover both. The first thing he said when he came in was this. All right, students, this class is different. You will decide what we do tomorrow yourselves. Whatever you all agree on unanimously, I will make happen. And the class starts whispering. Wait, like anything? Anything, but every single one of you has to agree on it. So for the next hour and a half, the entire class was working like a group project. They debated, argued, bargained, and by the end, they had a full plan. The first 15 minutes, they wanted music playing and they wanted snacks. Then, a movie of their choice. They chose Shrek 2. And with the movie, they wanted soda and pizza. And not like one slice each. They wanted enough pizza so everyone could get stuffed. And the sub just nodded. All right, tomorrow, it's done. And the next day, the classroom was a frickin' vibe. Pizza boxes stacked high, music, Shrek 2, kids with food comas in every desk. It was the only time the entire class agreed on something, and it was the last time that sub ever taught at that school. Now this is unfortunate. One day during school, it's in between classes, and this kid is booking it down the hallway. He's running to the bathroom. Why? Because he needs to throw up. So he's running, he's holding his stomach, he's sweating. It looks pretty bad. But the history teacher sees this. He's strict, he's very dramatic. Hey, you there! We do not run in the corridor! The kid doesn't say anything, he just keeps running. Oh no, you don't! The teacher blocks off the hallway with his arms, but as he says this next thing in the middle of a sentence, this kid pukes, and it goes into the teacher's mouth. You will walk respect. What? The teacher then pukes. The kid continues to go to the bathroom, and the entire hallway's watching like, yo, what the freaking heck just happened? Obviously, the kid never got in trouble for running because, well, he was feeling sick. But the history teacher's reputation was tainted permanently. That's insane. There's a big difference between Oak Street and Oak Avenue, and it changed this one kid's life. He was told to meet at this house for a study group. The address was 124 Oak Avenue, but when he put it in his GPS, he put 124 Oak Street, which is a completely different house. Pulled up, he went to the door and he knocked. "Oh, you must be one of the neighbor boys. Come on in," this old lady answered. Kid's like, "This doesn't seem like my study group." And it wasn't, but he just went along with it. "Have a seat, I'm making cookies." "Oh, okay." He sits down, she pours him a glass of milk, and he had a bite of a cookie. "This is the best cookie I've ever had. Glad you like it." And they sat there for an hour and a half, just chatting. She told him stories about being in school in the 50s and their school dances. He even pulled out his book and studied there for a bit. It was productive, and him and this grandma lady connected. You see, this woman lived alone. Her grandchildren had all graduated and moved out of the town. She was lonely, and this kid's grandma had passed away 2 years ago. So it was like a connection. "Are you sure you've had enough food?" "Yes, it was delicious, and thanks for helping me study." "Of course. Come back whenever." And he did. Once a month, he would go over there for cookies and a study session. And he realized,
One day, randomly, this kid told his teacher, "My grandma died." "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear that." Well, that night, the teacher emails the mom. "I just wanted to say, I'm thinking of your family. Deborah was such a good woman. May she rest in peace." The mom reads it, and she freezes. Wait, what? Her mother-in-law wasn't dead. She was literally at bingo that night. A few minutes later, a different mom from school calls her. We're all gonna miss her so much. She was such an incredible woman." "No, I'm sorry, there must be some sort of confusion. She's not dead." By the end of the night, half of the neighborhood is sending their condolences. Everyone thinks Grandma's gone. This one family even dropped off a casserole. She then confronts her kid. Hi, did you tell everyone that Grandma died?" "Yes." "Why?" "I don't actually know." The mom then calls her mother-in-law to warn her about this entire situation. "Oh, hi, sweetie. B27. Crap. Hey, Deb, so apparently you died today?" "Oh, well, no one told me. That's good to know." G26. Bingo! She liked this boy in her art class. "Hi." "Hey." The kid was quiet, he was funny, he drew comics in this sketchbook. Well, through a few of her friends, she found out that he lived a couple blocks away from her. Now, she was determined to get closer to this guy. She wanted to do something memorable. So one night at 4 a.m., she sneaks out of her house. She's barefoot, she's in a hoodie, and she's carrying a bag of garbage. She walks 3 blocks to this kid's house. Her heart is pounding. She really wants him to like her back. When she gets there, she takes the garbage bag and she dumps all of the garbage all over his lawn. She then rings the doorbell and sprints home. The next day in class, she overhears this kid talking. "Hey, did anything weird happen to anybody else last night?" "No, why?" "Somebody dumped garbage all over my lawn at 4 a.m. and then rang my doorbell and ran away. And this was her chance. That was me." "Oh, okay. Thanks." Of course. And he didn't talk to her for months after that. Why did she think that would work? That's absolutely insane.